Okay, so today we are going to learn the trim command, and we'll begin as we always do, hitting File and New Drawing, and we'll begin with our basic template. And then you'll be drawing in your object layer, but just so you can see on my overhead projector, I'll be drawing in our 0 layer. And why don't we begin by, I should begin by just drawing a circle. Here. So we have a circle, and then we're going to draw a line right through the center of our circle. Now let's say we only need half of our circle. So we eliminate half by hitting the trim command. So it's TRIM for trim, or just TR is the keyboard shortcut. And as soon as you run the command, we can see it's asking us to select objects or hit enter for all. And we'll go over the objects later, but it's asking us what they call the cutting edges. But for now, we're just going to hit enter for all. And then now you can see it's giving us a whole mess of other options as well. We're going to ignore all those, and we're just going to click on the left side of the circle because this is the side that I do not want. So I'm just going to click on this, and you'll notice just with one click, it's now gone. Now I'm still in my trim mode, and will continue to be until I hit my enter button. So while in the trim mode, I can go through and trim other things. So let's say this line here is just a little bit too long. So I'm going to click on this top here. And then I'll do the same with the bottom. There we go. Now I'm done with my command, so I'll hit enter. And I'm done. So we have a perfect half circle with a line going down the center. Is everyone able to follow along with that? Awesome. All right, now we'll get a little bit more elaborate here. This time, I'm going to draw a few circles. And I'm going to draw my line going through as well. So now I have a line going through a number of circles. And now let's say I wanted to trim this line, but I want it to be trimmed so only the parts of the line that are outside my outer circle I want to remain. So I want to get rid of all of these segments inside. Now if I hit trim and then enter twice as we did before, I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to have to click every single line in here, which for this drawing wouldn't take too long, but you can see with more complex drawings that could really take a lot of time. So instead, I'm going to hit trim, I'm going to hit enter once, and then now I'm going to select my object for my what they call cutting edge. I'm going to hit this outer circle. You can select more than one object, but for now I'm just going to hit this one object for my outer circle. And I'm going to hit enter. And now I've defined that as my cutting edge, meaning that it's going to trim from where I click from one point all the way to the other point. So if I just click anywhere in the middle here, boom, you can see it trimmed the entire line all the way through, just leaving the segments that are outside my cutting edge. So we're going to be using a ton of things with the trim tool, so it's pretty critical we have a good understanding of this. All right, we'll keep this drawing here. And now do my typical kind of scribble here. So now I have a much more complex drawing. And now, let's say I want to trim every single line that's just in the inside of this, between these two sort of inner circles here. So I'm going to run my trim command again. And I'm not really going to worry about my cutting edges at this point, so I'm just going to hit my enter again. And you'll notice at the bottom here, I have a few different options. And the first one is fence. So I'm just going to hit F for fence. And then what this allows me to do is actually draw lines and think of it as a knife that's going to be cutting anything that the line passes through. And it's pretty important that you have your O snap turned off on this because we don't want it to snap to any points. So I'm just going to very carefully, somewhat quickly go through. I'm just cutting all of these lines here. So I've drawn what we call our fence line all the way through around in a circle. And now when I hit enter, any line that I went through, it cut. It left a few that I didn't go through. But I can clean up those few by hand here.
How did you, what is the,
So that was the fence command, yeah.
you have to do that, including with trim?
Yeah, so you ran your, it's a variation of the trim command. So if I want to do that a little bit cleaner, I'll do it again here. I'm going to type in my trim command, and then this time I'll actually select my cutting edges being this point and this point. And then after hitting enter again, now it's asking me my trim options here. So you can see here I'm still in my trim command, and then these are all my variations of the trim that are available to me. And I'm going to F for fence, and then making sure that my O snap is off. It'll allow me to quickly and easily draw a line somewhat in a circle here. And you can go through and just clean up any that remain. So it would have taken a lot of time to actually click on every single little line segment by itself. And then one other kind of variation of the trim command. I'm going to select this as a cutting object, and then this as a cutting object. So I have two circles, and I'm going to make sure that I have one circle remaining in the middle here. And then actually, we're not going to go that one today. What else did I want to go over today here? All right, something else that you need to know now that we're getting into more intricate detail. So CAD, as you zoom in and out with CAD, it often doesn't, just for the purposes of speed, redraw your drawing. So, for example, if I were to zoom in really close here, it's hard to see it, but my circle isn't really perfectly round. I kind of have a weird bend right here. So sometimes you'll zoom in and objects that you expect to be touching aren't touching, or lines that are supposed to be curved aren't curved. The way we tell CAD to refresh our drawing or draw it again on the screen is the regen command. So it's R-E-G-E-N. And there's two variations of this: regen, which just regenerates the portion that you're looking at, or regen all, which will do your entire drawing. So I hit enter, and then now we can see that that weird bend is now gone, and we have a nice smooth line. So if you ever drew something and you expect your lines to be touching and you zoom in really close and they aren't touching, hit that regen command, and that should correct the issue. And some commands, like the trim command, sometimes it's helpful to run that regen command first, just to make sure that everything is drawn correctly. So trim, regen, and then yesterday we went over the copy command. There's kind of two flavors of the copy command. We drew our copy. We typed copy. We selected our objects. Hit enter. We selected the point that we wanted to copy from. So I'll just select the center of my drawing, and then I've copied it over to here. So that's how we usually copy things in CAD, but CAD also has a traditional copy command, which is just like you'd use in a word processor. So if you go to edit here, you actually have copy, or there's a shortcut for it, and this is universal in all Mac and Windows computers, which is just Command C for copy and then Command V for paste. So the difference is if I go Command C for copy and then Command V for paste, now I'm pasting it, and it's just going to paste it once. Now it doesn't give me the option of selecting a base point, which is pretty useful when copying. And it doesn't give me the option of clicking and copying it multiple times. I'd have to hit Command V to copy again. One of the advantages of using the copy command, Command C, versus typing in copy is if you had something from one document and want to copy it over to another document. So say we're working on something later in the year and you want to reuse a chair or something that you drew at the beginning of the year, you'd open up that document, you could hit copy, and then paste it into another object, another file. So that's the differences between the copy command versus, I guess you could call it command copy. Hitting command and copy. Any questions on that? Okay. Good luck.